What up, YouTube? B-Side here once again, and I wanted to make this quick video because this actually caught my attention. Let me give you a little bit of context before I start the video. So prior to me getting the 30 series card that I got for the first time, as you can see in the box in the back down there, right behind it is the 4090. I did get a 3080 Founders Edition, but my go-to card, and I was really excited for this, was the Radeon RX6800XT, because it would have gone perfectly paired with either my 5800X build or my 5900X build. Now, the reason I went for Nvidia was because the first day of the release of the RX6800XT was completely gone within seconds in their website. And literally a week later, a 3080 notification drop popped off on Best Buy for a Founders Edition, and I was really looking into getting either a reference card from AMD or my first Founders Edition card ever, since I've only owned third parties, more so specifically EVGA models, PNY models, Asus models, and MSI models. And they work great. But prior to that 3080, I had a 2070 Super, but prior to that, I was able to play on a 5700 XT and an RX 580, and I loved AMD as well as I do Nvidia. But I went with Nvidia, obviously, because their Tensor cores are a bit more advanced and they're able to squeeze a little more performance on ray tracing. But we're coming into an age in which now each card, the competitor versus Nvidia, or AMD versus its competitor, they're really going up to par, not only in raster performance, but also in ray tracing performance. So even though I like flexing my 4090 specifically in gaming, I come from a line of budget gaming, more so specifically within the between the $350 to $600 price range. These, like the 3080 and the 4090, are my first $700 cards and $2,000 cards. So I really enjoy budget gaming, specifically in 1080p and in 1440p. And now AMD is releasing a hell of a bombshell. And I really hope that they don't mess up on distribution, because the lack of chips during the 6000 series and everybody scalping them out really turned me away from even getting both companies. And it took me almost a year after the 4090 came out for me to actually pull the trigger and make the decision, because of the fact that there were cables still burning even after the year after its release. And now we're seeing the same thing going on with the 50 series cards. So it's making me a little bit skeptical, because I don't want to spend, let's say, $3,500 on a build, right, alongside a $2,000 card, for it to explode and everything being taken away and losing it because a big, huge corporation's incompetence in making these cards. Somewhere along the lines, I don't think it's like the bigger ups, but the production line that is really messing up. And as far as you may know, for a couple of weeks now, people have been experiencing missing ROPs and also burning cables on all 50 series cards, that it's making me a little bit scared of spending another $2,000 just to show you the performance against a 4090, while I can have a possible $600 card that I can put against a 4090 to see its performance, not only in raster, but also in ray tracing, and not having it blow up my entire system. So really quickly, I just finished watching the presentation and I took some screenshots, and it seems like the AMD Radeon RX9070 is gonna have 56 compute units, 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory. It's gonna have a boost clock of 2520. It's gonna have 1165 AI tops and a power consumption of 220 watts. Now, the AMD Radeon RX9070 against the RX7900 GRE. Mind you, this is another card that I was really looking forward to actually buying, and I never found the availability for it. And I still can't find an availability for it unless it's like $800 or $900. This card was originally, I think it was like, what was it, $450? $500? And they're comparing it in 4K Ultra settings, and it says that it has up to 21% faster performance in 4K across all these titles. Look, they got Space Marine 2, they got Flight Simulator, they got Black Ops 6, they got Ghost of Tsushima, they got Stalker, they got Black Myth Wukong. It's actually 20% faster than the 7900 GRE in Black Myth Wukong and 18% faster than the 7900 GRE in Stalker 2, which is one game that I'm actually playing right now. And it has 28% performance in Assassin's Creed Mirage. But I feel like Assassin's Creed Mirage can literally run on a 2070 Super at like high FPS. Not so much in 4K, but in 1440p and 1080p. Now, I like how in their presentation, they actually said in native 4K Ultra Gaming. Now, Nvidia should take notes on this, because if you come and take a look at, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go to their website themselves so that you can see the bullshit that they actually gave us for performance benchmarks. You know what I mean? And I'm going to show you real quick. It shows performance leaps of up to like 2 times the performance. But on the bottom here, in the little words that nobody tends to read, it says 4K max setting, DLSS super resolution, and DLSS ray reconstruction. And it has frame gem on the 40 and multi-frame gem times 4 on the 50 series. And the game that they're using is Horizon Forbidden West. And their performance benchmarks are literally, for example, in the 5080, it's 4K max settings, but the DLSS is on performance mode, which renders the quality to 1080p. And then in the 5070 Ti, they have relative performance with DLSS on and frame generation on. And again, if you take a look at their screenshot, it says native 4K Ultra, which to me, that's pretty impressive considering the previous Nvidia generation card. I mean, the previous AMD card was performing extremely well in raster performance. Well, not so much in ray tracing performance, but it still did ray tracing performance in 1440p and 1080p, which is what most gamers actually play nowadays, specifically in competitive gaming. But now they're showing 21% faster performance. And to put it into perspective, so in ray tracing, the 7900 GRE at 4K does about 34 FPS. A 20% increase would be about 50 to 60 FPS, depending on the setting of ray tracing that you use. But not only that, in the video, they show that they're going to have path tracing as well. So again, this is in I believe in non-ray tracing performance. But in ray tracing performance, listen to this. 9070 is performing 34% faster than the 7900 GRE, which is very close, extremely close to the 7900 XTX in performance. And yes, even though I like to be a fan of Nvidia, I pay attention to its competitor because I want to make sure that I make the right decisions when I'm making either benchmark videos for the consumer. Now, I got my 4090 just to have fun, but I wouldn't recommend anybody getting a 4090 because right now they're like $4,500 along with the 5090. But 5080, 5070, around that price range, I highly recommend users to get because they're going to get the best experience with 1440p and 1080p. Now, their claims are extremely well done, and I just hope that they pull through once the benchmarks come out with either Jay's 2 cents or another page that I've been following, which is Z-Worms Gaming. And this dude actually tests his games in all resolutions with all features on or off, and it's amazing. Like, I can actually see real-time performance being played out without the need of like having to upgrade the system, so that I can make my decision into what I want to do in terms of a build. I highly recommend that channel. I often use it for reference, and that channel is perfect for people who want to see live performance in different resolution. Again, this is a screenshot, so you can see the video on YouTube being played out. And I'm really impressed with this card. I may not get it on the first day because I'm still waiting on the 9950X 3D to show up at the stores so that I can actually make my purchase, make my upgrade, so that then I can make a decision to bring you guys a consumer level graphics card and pair it against a 4090 Rock Strix, so that you guys can see real life performance and feature comparisons between the two. But that's not all they have. They also have the AMD Radeon RX9070XT, which has 64 compute units, which is so far their highest level, because the 68, I think it was the 6800 XT, and 6900 level cards had 94 compute units. But around that same range, the 6800 XT range, they had 64 compute units. And what I like about AMD is that they like to embarrass their competitors using their previous memory type, which is GDDR6. Remember, the 30 series had GDDR6X as well as the 40 series card. And Nvidia is now doing GDDR7 with the 50 series cards. But they are the masters. And by the way, this has been happening since like the since the X1000 series of AMD. They've always went behind Nvidia and tend to make a graphics card that is more affordable and actually make them surpass their 80 series cards, the Nvidia's 80 series cards, to almost the same level with a little bit less performance and a lot cheaper than Nvidia. So AMD has always been doing this, right? And every time a new technology comes out, I'm always there to be like grabbing it. The last technology that I used was RDNA 1, and I skipped RDNA 2 and RDNA 3, and now I want to kind of jump into RDNA 4 just to test it, benchmark it against the 4090. And honestly, the 9070 XT might go to either my stepdaughter's build or on another personal build that I would make, like a budget build, just to play around with it and show you guys more content about it. But it's got 2970 megahertz boost clock, which is almost 3 gigahertz. That's almost as much boost clock as the 6950 XT was about, I think it was like 3200 megahertz. And it's got 1500 and 15.7 AI top and a TDP of 304 watts, which is really impressive. Which also, it's not kind of impressive as well because of the fact that previous generation AMD cards have gone through amazing performance at half the power usage of an Nvidia graphics card, which is amazing, by the way. I cannot wait until I see either Gamers Nexus or Jay's 2 cents freaking benchmarking them and overclocking them, just so I can see kind of a little bit of a layout, so that I can see what I'm expecting with the system that I'm going to be upgrading to. And lo and behold, 42% faster gaming performance in just Raster at 4K Ultra settings. Now, mind you, the way they test Ultra is by putting the Ultra settings on and forgetting about it. The way I do it is I like to make sure that everything is on ultra to make sure that the performance is there, and I'll make the comparison. But they're showing up to 48% performance in just Raster against the 7900 GRE. Now this 7900 GRE competes with the 4080 and the 4080 Super really well. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be on some 5080 type of level graphics card. And in ray tracing performance, it's 66% in F124, up to 66% in Cyberpunk 2077 in ray tracing performance. This is actually really impressive considering the 7900 GRE barely runs Cyberpunk 2077 on ray tracing at 4K. I mean, it runs it, but it runs it at like maybe 25 to 30 FPS. This is a huge improvement. This is going to be like maybe 60, 70, 80 FPS on ultra settings. And it's going to be impressive. Now, alongside with the features that they're coming out with something called Hyper RX. Now, Hyper RX is their feature package, which includes anti-lag. It includes fluid motion frames too, an enhanced super resolution. It also has the Radeon Boost and Fidelity FX Super Resolution, which is FSR. And their upscaler, based on the other CES that I've seen previously, the Fidelity FX Super Resolution, or FSR, looks extremely good, especially in image quality. I know that a lot of AMD users don't even use FSR3 at times because of its image quality. But based on what I've seen and the screenshots that they have shown, I don't think they have, let me see, performance. I'm on their website right now. Let me click on Super Resolution. And let's see. You could see that the new Super Resolution with the fluid motion will give you 3 times the FPS on games, or like from like 2.1 to 3 times the FPS on FSR4 upscaling, plus the fluid motion frames, which is their frame generation. Now, in terms of image quality, I don't think they have any screenshots other than the one they showed in the video, and I couldn't bring you guys the screenshot. Let me see if I can actually pull it up. Now, this is what they actually showed. In native 4K, you can see that the image is a little bit, it's fine, but it doesn't look like it has any aliasing, or I think it has temporal anti-aliasing, or TAA for short. And you could see that in FSR 3.1 in performance mode, you could see that the antennas on the building over here, I don't know if you can see it much, it's from a page, but from the distance, you can see a lot less detail. And in 4K native, you could see almost all the detail. And in FSR4 in performance mode, you can literally see almost every detail of those antennas from afar. Not something an average Joe gamer would actually care about if they're looking for image quality, but if they're looking for substantial distanced image quality, then FSR4 is going to bring something new to the table, which is going to be very comparable with the DLSS4, which I'm also excited about because now I want to test this. So I think that's pretty much covers what they showed at their announcement for the RX9070 and 9070 XT. Oh, before I forget, the release dates are going to be on March 6th. And they said that they're going to have, I've heard some people talk, and you can take this only with a grain of salt, but I heard that it's going to have 10 times more availability than the previous 7000 series and the 6000 series. So I hope that in due time, whenever I make my decision to buy the 9070 XT to test it against the 4090 because I really wanted to get a 5090. But again, all this cable burning and ROPS missing, I don't want to go through all the stress of having to RMA one and wait weeks, perhaps months, in order for me to actually get a card, rather than to just spend my money wisely and to get one of these budget cards and pair it against a pretty fast Nvidia graphics card, which it is the 4090. Still relevant in this case because it's the last card that they made that had a very powerful raster performance against any other previous generation, including I think it's since the 1080 Ti. And this I have really good hopes that AMD is gonna pull it up finally, because they're always famous on missing an opportunity. So hopefully AMD doesn't mess this up and they're able to have a broad availability for a lot of people. And I hope these don't get scalped. So please listen to me, scalpers. If I ever find you, I will hunt you down and make you pay for all those scalping prices. My Liam Neeson impersonation is completely horrible. But anyways, I think that's it for today. And let me know in the comments below which card are you going to be getting. And I'm pretty sure that everybody's going to aim for these AMD cards, because as always, AMD's there to redeem players from the Nvidia scams. Anyways, peace out.